Okay, welcome back to episode 8. We're just rolling along. Probably do one or two more, however you're feeling, man. I don't know. I'm really going on this How I Met Your Mother rant, so I'm almost done. The last one I'm going to go with, that's probably the last one, I think.
Okay.
Probably get like mission 6 done, and then that's like roughly a third. I think it's going to take us about 3 to get through this one, so it should be okay. We can make other ones longer if we have to. It's like good to not make the session too long when it's the first one, I think.
Yeah.
So 8's probably a good number. Anyway, so to conclude my story, if you were not here last time, just to leave off, the ending, Ted learns the mother, you learn she's like been dead for years, like 5 years or something. And it's like he only knows her for like 10 years total. And they're supposed to like, be together for the rest of their lives. And like his friends Marshall and Lily, they meet when Ted and Marshall are in college. They're roommates, right? They all went to the same school. Gilgamesh, he's in Fate. Anyway, so Marshall and Lily have been together for like, by the time the show ends, they've been together for like 20 years or something, like super long, like since they were 18, basically. And so just to finally conclude this story, at the end, his kids go. So they call this mission's so easy. I remember this one.
Yeah.
This one's
kind of like a giant gimmick.
This one's crazy easy. But they call Ted's friends, like they call them Aunt Lily and Uncle Marshall because they just know them so well, that kind of thing, right?
Uh-huh.
And Uncle Barney and Aunt Robin and stuff. In the last episode, Robin and Barney get married. That's the wedding they're at. That takes the whole season up.
Uh-huh.
That they're at that wedding. That's where they meet, right? And so this is all in the last episode. They skip forward 2 years. Barney and Robin get divorced. So they just get divorced, like straight up, after like 2 years. And you're like, that kind of ruins that plot line.
Yeah, you're like
they've been building the Barney and Robin plot line since like season 5, and they just like, and it's all of season 9's like wedding, and then they're like, nah, never mind. The Barney plotline they do in the last episode is interesting. He like knocks up a random girl, but then like she doesn't want the kid, so he like becomes like a good father, which is like that's like a nice story to finish off for his, because like his whole thing is he has sex with like a bunch of women. He has all these conquests.
Yeah,
right?
it's like,
and so that's like that's how he finishes. His story gets finished, which is fine, but it's just like weird. Robin's like, oh, I'm gonna be like I'm like travel and be like a super famous newscaster because that's her profession, right?
Uh-huh.
So they get divorced, so they like wipe that plot line clean immediately, like right after the wedding part ends, and then Ted finishes telling the story to his kids, and they're like, that story was kind of long. You didn't need all those details. We actually think you're in love with Robin, and you should go get her back. And Ted was like, okay, I'll do that. And then, so the way Ted wins over Robin is...
This happens in the last episode?
This all happens in the last episode.
Oh my God.
In like the last like 20 minutes.
Is it like an hour?
Yeah, it's like an hour-long episode, but like all this shit happens in like the last half hour.
It's like... All
all these years get skipped, obviously, because like they're trying to like wrap up their story. But anyway, so what happens is, this part's corny enough, but the fact they reuse it makes it so much cornier. The way Ted wins over Robin when they initially date is, they went on a date to, they had Ted and Robin go on a date at the very beginning of the series, right? And they don't get together partially because Robin is not interested in a serious relationship and she doesn't want to have kids, right? But now it's Ted's bidding. Ted's like hopeless romantic, wants to have kids, all that crap, right? So what he does, they go to this restaurant and they're sitting at this table and there's a blue French horn hanging on the wall.
I've actually seen the first episode of the show. That is all I remember. And don't they like
There's
say it's like a Smurf like penis or something?
Yeah, they say some funny CBS comedy writer's penis joke or whatever. So, God, this How I Met Your Mother tangent is going on really long, but it's pretty interesting. Like the way they fuck up after 9 years. Because this was a really heralded sitcom. It won Emmys and stuff.
Yeah,
it was really popular.
And it's one of the most famous ones of all time.
Yeah, and it was like when it like was into its run, people were like, "Oh, I like this better than Friends. Like this is like Friends, but it's better."
Yeah,
like, a lot of people said that. Obviously, not everybody, but so anyway. So the way Ted wins over Robin at the end of season 1, he goes to the restaurant, steals the French horn off the wall, and he is outside of her window and like yells to her and like holds up the French horn, and it's like super corny.
Yeah.
But it's like whatever. It's like the last shot of the season. So actually, the end of season 1 is really interesting. So that happens. He wins over Robin, and it's like pouring rain. Marshall's sitting outside their apartment. Lily just leaves him and goes to San Francisco because she goes to art school in San Francisco. That plotline lasts about half of the next season. They're like not together anymore, and they get back together. But I remember thinking like, oh wow, that episode was really weighty, right? Because like Ted's thing happened. Marshall, they broke up after being together since like college, right? But anyway, so at the very end of the series, Ted fucking steals the French horn again, and they do that same exact shot.
Yeah,
and that's how it ends, and you're like, wow, like really?
We just wasted it all.
So there is a alternate ending to the show. Oh, and the other crazy thing about that ending is because the kids aged, obviously, over the years, they filmed that ending during season 2. They already knew that was going to be the ending of the show.
That's
super far in advance, and they knew that's how they were going to end it. And then they tried to like make another show about a new group of people called How I Met Your Dad, and then CBS was like, that's kind of. They were like, your last season wasn't that good, and I think you lost all of your viewers' faith with the ending of that other show, so we don't actually want your new pilot. And they were like, oh fuck, because they probably like thought they had that in the bag, right? Because that was literally before The Big Bang Theory. That was like CBS's highest rated show, like every week pretty much. I can't think of a CBS sitcom that like stood up to like Modern Family or like any of those ones, or like 30 Rock or The Office before like Big Bang Theory came along, right?
No.
Because what else did they have? They had like Two Broke Girls.
Yeah, well, no, 2.5 Men was.
Oh yeah, 2.5 Men was really popular before.
That one has a really bad ending too. It's like a joke. I don't remember one of the main characters at the end of Piano falls on his head and he just fucking dies. And then
is it Ashton Kutcher?
I don't know, maybe because I know people hate it.
Charlie dies. Like Charlie gets hit
he
by
like gets a train or subway or something, and then. But at the end, a piano falls on his head, and then Chuck Lorre, the writer, looks at the camera and smiles, and it's like
it's just like a shot of him smiling.
Yeah, it's like he's just like smartphone.
No, dude, like okay, so just growing up, I watched a lot of the CBS sitcoms just because they were on TV. You just like watch what's on TV when you're a kid a lot of the times. So I've seen a lot of Big Bang Theory. I've seen a lot of 2.5 Men. I've seen a lot of Two Broke Girls, all those shows, right? I've also seen a lot of pilots. I used to watch a lot of the mid-season stuff to see how it would do.
Or like in the fall.
I watched so many horrible sitcoms that like flopped immediately.
Yeah.
So much garbage.
One I remember was Bad Judge. They
sucked. I remember I watched that.
They didn't even finish airing the season. They aired like 4 episodes.
They were just like, nope. Because they could just base it off ratings like immediately.
Yeah.
Because like, anyway, we'll get more into failed pilots after. I was just going to say, I don't know why. There is like a philosophy or like a brainchild of writing sitcoms at CBS because they all go crazy with like the sex jokes and the weed jokes.
Yeah.
And their writing is we'll do the next mission just because we can stop during missions, right?
The checkpoints are kind of finicky.
Okay, well we'll just start mission 7 if we don't. We can just go till we're done with it. It's fine. But anyway, oh yeah, this one isn't super long though. Anyway, I'm wondering if there's like a brainchild that does the writing at CBS because they all have the same exact style of writing.
Yeah.
They all go funny sex, funny weed, funny, drugs, epic, it's all the same. You can just watch one of them. And How I Met Your Mother benefited from an actually good writing team. So they actually got like legitimate depth out of their characters over time, despite still having the same writing style, right?
Mm-hmm.
But God, man, like, have you ever watched an episode of Two Broke Girls?
No, I mean...
It is the most, like, let's make a sex joke, let's make a boob joke, let's make a weed joke. Like, it just is, like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And, like, it's probably, like, a meme now, because, like, they've made so, like, but, like, Modern Family was, like, actually funny. Like, they had, like, a lot of great ideas to make shows funny, right? To make their show funny. I think that show was actually pretty funny. My dad liked the Goldbergs. That was on the ABC. But they like did a lot with their comedy. They weren't just like the same two things over and over again. Is what I'm trying to say, basically. NBC's comedies were good too.
Obviously from there.
30 Rock, Office, Community, Parks and Rec. Those were all really good. That was like the best sitcom lineup ever.
Yeah.
It was 30 Rock, and then Community, and then The Office, and then Parks and Rec. That lineup was so strong.
I haven't watched a lot of 30 Rock, but I've seen the other three.
Yeah, and I know you've seen you've seen all Parks and Rec?
I haven't seen the last season, but I've seen everything else.
Parks and Rec I couldn't really get into. I think I'll get into it someday because I like The Office and like Community's like my favorite. And that show is kind of in between those two.
The first season's kind of weak, and I think that's.
But it survived.
I started it once and then didn't finish it, or I started it once and dropped it and then came back and watched more. But yeah, the first season's kind of falls off.
It's funny, lady kind of naked though.
Yeah,
we have not really been paying much attention to the game. This is the first mission where you get to choose your character, and we choose not V.
Yeah, because
V kind of
stinky. But
is there a checkpoint at the boss?
Can
you like stop in front of the boss?
Yeah.
We could do so. Yeah, whatever. I mean, in our next session, if the mission didn't save, we can just like play it off screen.
Yeah,
it's fine. Whatever. Anyway, continuing our long ramble about sitcoms. This kind of feels like Kyle's podcast, where they'll just talk about one thing for like a half hour, or like 45 minutes or whatever. But anyway, I've seen so many failed TV shows that as a kid I was like, that wasn't bad, and now looking back, I'm like, God, that was awful. Like nobody wanted to see that. Some of them have really good premises, and then they just don't go anywhere. Like, did you see the Matthew Perry one, Mr. Sunshine? Have you seen that one?
No, I don't know that one.
He, like, manages a sports arena in Florida. And it's kind of, it's like an interesting idea of Scissors Man. But it's just, like, not very funny. There was one that starred Rebel Wilson called Super Fun Night, which is maybe the worst sitcom I've ever seen.
That's just a bad name.
I can't really... It was really bad. I just remember thinking like that it was just like none of the, and it's not that I don't dislike Rebel Wilson or anything. It's just that particular show was just really awful. I just remember thinking it was just completely garbage. Yeah, and then you said, what was the one you said? Bad Judge, which I just canned immediately.
I couldn't tell you like who the
They put all this work into writing, casting, production, like everything, and then they're like, this sucked. Next. Because you think they'd like, what is it called when you like show it to a specific audience?
Oh, like test screening?
Market testing, market research, test screen, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was another word for it, but that reminds me of that episode of Community where they're at the Inspector Spacetime Convention. They like all remember like the whole gang goes. Like Abed's like, no, me and my friend from England are gonna go. Who's like, you know, fucking Sargon of Akkad man, remember that guy? The fat English guy?
Yeah.
I do remember. That's one of the decent episodes in that season, actually. And they're like all there. And so Pierce and Shirley are there too, and so they get pulled aside for like a test screening of, they're trying to make an American Inspector Spacetime, which is like American Doctor Who or whatever, right? And so they're like, well, we want to hear your opinions, right? About like what you think about the show. We're trying to get a diverse group, because they get Shirley and Pierce, who are like the oldest people of the group or whatever. Although Jeff and Shirley are like the same age, pretty much.
Yeah.
You learned in season 5 that how old is just Jeff 40 in season 5? I think he turns 40. Which is one of the reasons him and Annie are really weird, because Annie's like 20.
I like the atmosphere of this little old school.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a school subway. But anyway,
him and Annie,
it's like weird. It's a bizarre. It's actually a really interesting character relationship in a TV show, because it's not even like, it's so not simple, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, you kind of are like, people are like, oh, I ship these characters. Why can't they just be together? You know, but their relationship's really complicated, and especially in the last episode, they sort of were like, yeah, this is really complicated, right?
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Like, you know, that show always had good writers, so I think that's good to have relationships that are complicated like that. Anyway, what I was saying was they pull Pierce and Shirley aside for a test screening, right? And in the test screening, they like want their opinion. So Pierce is like, it'd be cool if he had like an assistant that was like blonde with like tall, long legs and stuff. and then they're like writing it down, and Pierce is like, and Shirley's like worried that they're gonna like listen to Pierce, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, my friends that like the show, or because she doesn't know anything about Inspector Space Time, she's just trying to like say things that like Abed and Troy would like to hear. She's like, is that it's like smart and it doesn't talk down to its audience, right? And they write that down, and Pierce is just, God, and so like Pierce is just saying all this like dumb, like stupid old man shit. Oh, I remember this part really explicitly. I think I was watching your stream when you were playing this.
Yeah.
But Pierce is like, oh, I didn't even know the levels had checkpoints, honestly.
Yeah, there's like some like I don't really understand like where they come in and where they go. Like they just I know they exist because like I've started from the middle of one before after leaving the game. But
Anyway, so at the very end of the episode, like post credits, there's like a promo for the American Inspector Space Time, and they're like in the fucking like Wild West, and he's got like a tall blonde girl with him, and just exactly how Pierce described. And Abed is like, why have you done this? How could you do this? Because when Abed gets mad, he's like, God, Abed, like, have you ever seen the actor that plays Abed outside of like Community?
he's in Winter Soldier as an extra, but I don't know.
He's like a perfectly like regular dude, and he is an amazing actor because Abed is like one of like the most, not like hard to play, but like really method characters.
Yeah.
Like the way he talks and the way he acts and like his gestures and his like body language.
Stuff, yeah.
You have to like really have that down, right? And he just totally does. Another thing is the actors that play Annie and Abed are like super good friends. Like I follow both of them on Instagram, and they're in each other's Instagram videos like all the time still. And that show ended like 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, they're
I know
super
like The
friends.
Office is like the same way. Like the actress like what's Jenna Green, is that Pam?
Her name is Jenna something.
Jenna something.
What is her name?
And Angela, her actress, is also named Angela. I know there's different ones.
Her name is Jenna Fisher.
Jenna Fisher.
And I used to know like all the fucking actor names because I feel like everyone kind of has their run in with The Office. They like TV sitcoms because it's just like really good.
Yeah.
It's super good. Like the culture around it is like can be really annoying, but it's like I think it's like cute when people like bond over it and stuff like that. It's like perfectly fine. I know there are just people that are like, it's way too popular, I gotta be contrarian about it, you know, but it is just really good, right?
Yeah, I watched the first 5 seasons and
It's
I
excellent.
Really liked
The
it.
6th one's good, worth watching too, I think. It's really good. Yeah, that shows like, I used to know like all the actors' names, like Steve Carell, John Krasinski, Rainn Wilson, you know.
John Krasinski kind of like really went off.
Well, yeah, he made A Quiet Place,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "It's Jim from The Office." That shit's annoying when it's
That
like,
is fucking
"Oh, I'm
annoying.
trying to like make a movie that's like just about it's like me and what I want to do," and then you're like, "Oh, actually, it's just Jim from The Office. Smile, where's Pam?" And it's like, "Oh, shut up."
Yeah, that's like when Noah Monk, Gibby from iCarly,
tries to exist.
Yeah, he has his Sad World channel, and it's just weird experimental humor.
He does like weird, experimental, crazy YouTube videos. I'm not as into it as you guys are, but I see its value.
Yeah, it's
I understand why you guys like it. It's just super.
But yeah, no,
super
he still
weird.
gets Gibby stuff. He said one person like, I remember I watched I think it was like Vertical podcast or something, but he was on there, and he said like people like try to like jump on his back and stuff, and like he's
that's
still like
horrible.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, I'm like no, it's like fuck off.
Why are you doing that? What?
Just harassing him.
All right, so I think that's probably a good time to stop.
Yeah.
I think if we don't have a checkpoint, I guess that's too bad. I'm kind of scared to go up the down escalator anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah,
that's sort of spooky.
It's
so.
like me at Northgate. I'm like so tempted.
Me. Mia, have you ever run up and down escalator?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there like nobody around?
Yeah, there was nobody around, and my mom was just kind of like, go for it. I was like,
Damn, okay, I haven't done that one before. Have you been on the things in airports that are like the tracks that are just they're like escalators but they're straight?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are dope.
Yeah, those
makes
are
you feel
awesome.
like you're gliding. You're just like walking super fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like whatever.
No,
I could go all day. I could go on all day about my love of airports. Honestly, airports are fun. I like being in them. I still like being in them. I haven't like traveled enough for like boring things to think airports are boring. Anyway, next time on Ben's Play, we're rolling on to the next episode. For us, it's going to be a week from now. But see y'all later, everyone.
Later.
Laters.